What was his name?
Ante?
It doesn't matter what his name is, jabroni. If he's fighting on TV and I haven't heard of him, it doesn't matter what his name is. What's happening, guys? Welcome to another episode of Good Guy, Bad Guy. I'm Chael, he's Daniel, and let me ask you something, partner. Do you ever wish that you were athletic, like in your prime?
Chael, I don't know where this, I'm losing my voice when people ask me stuff. I don't know where this started. I don't know where these kids get these ideas to just be so ridiculous and disrespectful. But I'm in Abu Dhabi at UFC 232, I think. Which one was last week? 31 or 32?
31. 231.
321. Yeah.
No one knows.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And this gal comes up to me and goes, "Hey, DC, you ever been athletic?" And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, what is wrong with these children, Joe? Why do they do that?
Like a fellow athlete or just a person passing by?
She works for the UFC, just sits there. She's a younger girl that does social media or something, goes, "Hey, DC, you ever wish that you were athletic in your prime?" And I'm like, oh, you're so disrespectful. Here's the thing. I saw the video. What they didn't show in the video is how bad I cussed everybody out in that room. I mean, Chael, I was like, come on, man, you just going to disrespect me and all my accomplishments? It's crazy.
That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. I can't up that one, but I went to the PI and I didn't get permission because it was for fighters only, and my face was on the wall right behind her. And I said, well, that's my ID right there. And she looked at that picture and looked back at me and she's like, come on, you got to do better than that.
Come on, Jim.
I did not get in. I ended up leaving. Went back to the house, got my driver's license.
That's terrible. It tells us that we're far away from our career. Do you remember back in the day, we could just go in anywhere? Every door opened. When we worked in Los Angeles, there was not a place we could not step foot in. You show up and you say, you with your friends and they go, how are we going to get in? There's no reservations. And you just do this. This is how we get in. I mean, all of this right here is how we are going to get a table at this restaurant. And it always worked, but I don't know that it works like that anymore. And you know what happens, Chael? People start to hate you when you got it that good at times. But some people don't mind being hated. And right now, my favorite character in the world of mixed martial arts today is quickly becoming Ante Aspinall. Because Ante Aspinall is making a play at going bad guy.
You're talking about the old man.
I'm talking about the old man, the coach, the dad, the one that when Tom won and he hugged his father, we were so filled with love and joy. It sounds like Andy is making a decision to go, hey, my kid's a heavyweight champ of the world. You want a bad guy? I'll be your bad guy. And let me give you some examples, right? Andy's the one giving updates on Tom, saying his eye still can't see. That's fine. Andy was kind of negotiating in public last week. Remember, he said, I'm not re-signing. We're going to go box. Andy's playing the game. And at times, that can rub people the wrong way. But he doesn't seem to be bothered by it. He said that his son still can't see Chael. I mean, is this injury worse than we might have thought initially?
Well, I have to tell you, it's none of my business is kind of how I felt, but The doctor did make a statement that there was no long-term damage, and no long-term damage is the nicest way possible to say the eye is not injured. So it's a really tough spot. I mean, I don't question the guy. I don't question that the fingers went in his eye. I never know the best times, Daniel, when sometimes you got to just lay out. Just lay out, be quiet. If you're hurt, you don't have to tell anybody because the world will know, right? Like whatever happened here, whatever is the truth on the eye was filmed in 4K and broadcast around the world. It doesn't really matter if your dad steps in or your doctor or your friend or your childhood sweetheart. We all saw what happened and a decision was made, which, by the way, that's probably the part that you and I should dwell on the most. One sport on the face of the earth is regulated by the government, and it's this one. And somewhere in all of the clauses that they have, we turn to the fighter for his opinion. There is no sport in the world where you would turn to Mario Andretti or Tiger Woods or Dominic Moceanu. You would never ask the athlete, what do you think we should do here? And it's a little bit weird in MMA that we do put that on Tom. I don't think that Tom would have any of this stuck to him if the ref just made a call.
Yeah, well, chill. First off, those names that you listed as athletes, they really do date us. Those names that you listed as athletes are going to be a reason we don't get into the restaurant. If you keep naming Dominic and Mario Andretti and Dominic Moceanu, I mean, they're our age. But chill. There's a bigger issue brewing here. Okay. And God, I hate doing this, right? Last Saturday, I was very complimentary of the officials because they seemed to be very assertive. They were sure that there was no questions, especially after Vancouver. But in that main event, Jason didn't want to make that decision. He didn't want to make that decision. And I believe that is because of the fallback from some of the things that have happened recently with the referees. So he goes to the guy, and the guy says, I'm telling him this, and the other. There's nothing more I can do. I can't keep talking to him to tell him what's wrong with his eye because the guy's like, I can't push him to fight. The doctor can't make you fight. Right. Jason Herzog doesn't want to call his fight off because he knows what comes with calling his fight off. Chael, you and I both recognized about a minute into that whole situation that the fight was done. There was no coming back because the moment you say, I can't see, the fight's over. And Tom couldn't see. He could not see. So Herzog should have been the one to say, you know what, fight's over, dude can't see. You don't put that in the fighter, just like you don't put Kevin Holland getting hit low to stop fighting. You don't make them make those choices. But I think the bigger issue is these officials now, when they're faced with massive decisions, they get a little bit uncertain, man, because they understand the repercussions that come with making the call. Because Herzog's in the octagon, people are booing and going crazy. And at times, they get blamed for things that's not even their fault. It wasn't his fault that the fight got stopped.
Yeah, that's right. The only one to blame here is Surreal. The only one that did anything wrong is Surreal.
The only one that did something wrong is Surreal Gane.
Yeah, and it's been ruled that was unintentional. But I got to tell you, Daniel, I was mad at the whole thing. I mean, I'm sitting there as a viewer, as a fan. I've flown into Bristol. I got my nice suit on, and I felt shorted. I felt mad. And I fully admit to you, I didn't know which way to push that energy. But the least mad I was that Surreal, and I don't know why. I mean, that doesn't objectively make a whole lot of sense. I do think that the rules in and of themselves do need looked at. You have the only sport in the world regulated by government, and there's a bylaw somewhere within that sport that the athlete makes the call. That in and of itself, without giving a jury of our peers any other information, is weird. If the wrong words comes out of Tom's mouth, and that's why the doctor can't smarten him or the referee can't smarten him. We've seen many guys. Chris Weidman took a knee against Gegard Mousasi, believing that Gegard would be disqualified and that Chris would win. Well, Chris didn't know the new rule. It was what was called a grounded opponent, and they ruled it a TKO loss for Chris and a victory in the other direction. So I'm only sharing for you. I think that part is a little weird. I don't know why we had to give him 5 minutes. I do think that Tom was playing it up. Tom held a napkin on his eye that contained an ice cube. It wasn't like some magic thing. And I'll tell you, Daniel, there's few things that you want to have more in life than be able to see. If I got something wrong with my eye, I'm not sticking around waiting 5 minutes, cutting interviews to use a bunch of F words. I'm getting to the back where some kind of a specialist is. Like, this is going to be a very serious thing, and the show is not going to go on with one-eyed Chael. All of those things just kind of add to the curiosity of the moment. But I wouldn't hate the idea if Tom refused the rematch. If Tom was to come out and say, Surreal cheated, I'm not fighting him again. Give me somebody that doesn't cheat. That is a storyline I could get into.
And I could definitely dig into that because that is messy. And you know we love messy. Chael, when something like this happens though, right? You can give some information, you can give no information, or you could do what the Aspinall team is doing and give all the information. I mean, there is a camera following him in the back to the hospital, to the eye appointment, to his dad's room. Are you of the belief that you give so much, or do you kind of shut it down, close the doors, let people wonder, and then when you're ready to control the narrative, you come out and make a statement. Because right now, all the information, Chael, when you and I make these videos, right, we open up ourselves for these people to take it however they want. You may have a segment of people that takes everything you say about Tom Aspinall as you giving him advice, right? When I was talking about Jailton the other day, few people were like, man, he's like a big brother motivating a young champion. But then another section of the people talked about how much of a dirtbag I was for saying what I said. People interpret things however they want. By giving that much information, is Tom and them giving, or his team giving too much for people to decipher and go through? Because on one section it can be like, I'm glad he's showing me all this because he's hurt. You can see it. The other side is like, well, he's showing us all of this to try and prove that he's hurt when he's really not hurt, right? Because that's the pessimistic side. So is it too much, Chael? Do you close the doors on this?
I think that you do. I don't think there's any good way out. Listen, I've never seen a fighter that stopped a fight make it as far as Tom has just to this point. I have seen a lot of defensive Tom. I've seen a lot of people, good people. Matt Brown comes to mind. Ben Folks comes to mind. Wrote a whole article on it. Does a little free frame with the fingers in the eye. I'm not sharing for you that feels good, but I know a lot of people that have been poked, and I've seen a lot of poking. And if the eyelid is ever a barrier between the object that's poking and the eye, from my experience, get up and go on. And that's one of the things about the photos that Matt Brown or Ben put out. They stole the photos. Tom's blinking. Both eyes are closed. Both are getting dug at. I'm sure that didn't feel good, but I cornered Colby Covington when his eyelid got ripped off. That piece of skin is now dangling in his eye. And if we don't get him out of there, the best plastic surgeon in the world might not be able to put him back together again. It's one of these interesting things. We take a guy at his word. Nobody is to blame here except for the rules. The rules and the bylaws somewhere say that in the event of an unintentional, illegal as hell, but unintentional, that we will then ask the fighter's opinion for it.
It doesn't matter.
That's crazy. My father got called in one time when I got in trouble at school. My father was a plumber. He pulled up in the van with the pipes on top. He's got dirt on. He comes into school. He's wiping dirt off. He sits down and the principal turns to me and says, now, Chael, here's what you've done. What do you think we should do about it? And my father took his cowboy hat off and he said, by God, what do you think he should do about it? He said, when I left the job site, I already had this thing figured out. I already know what I'm going to do about it. What do you turn into a 12-year-old for?
Yeah.
I very much had a reminiscent time when they're asking Tom, so what do you want to do? Well, gee, you're a licensed doctor. You're working at the discretion of the attorney general. You've got a badge. You tell me what we're going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I hated that, man, because, again, it opened him up for all that. It literally opened him up for all of this, and he should not be put in that situation as a champion.
Daniel, who was winning that fight? Up until that very moment.
I thought it was very close.
I
thought it was very close, but I thought Cyril Gane had won round one.
Yep.
Because it's damage. It looked good. I mean, Cyril was bouncing around like Muhammad Ali. But again, he did something illegal, Chael. And guess what? In most instances, when you do something illegal and the fight ends, you get disqualified. I know there are some statements out there on this where it's like, well, maybe he should have been disqualified. So I like your point, but I don't think that will be the way that the Aspinall camp plays it, where they say, we're not going to fight him again. Daniel,
I understand they're saying that he broke a rule, but excuse me, anywhere in life, if there's no repercussion, then there's no rule. If there's no citation, then there's not a law. I mean, you could try that as many times as you want. Don't walk on that side, you'll be in big trouble. Well, what happens if I do? Absolutely nothing, but don't do it. Okay, well, then there's not a rule that I can't go do it. So we sit here and we talk about Cyril did something illegal. Well, if it was illegal, then disqualify him. But he wasn't disqualified. As a matter of fact, the way that I remember it, up until that moment, he didn't even have a point taken away. And I'm highly curious what would have happened if Tom, who is now the one-eyed Jack, has to go out there and try to fight and he's seeing doubled. Would have a point gotten taken away? Would have it leveled out around at 9-9? I still don't have that clarity, Daniel. There's nobody to ask because they're letting kids and athletes make the call.
Yeah, absolutely. And, honestly, when Tom didn't fight, you are the heavyweight champion of the world, right? obligation, like you said on Monday, is to walk out of that octagon with the belt. The chances go down tremendously when you defend that thing with one eye, right? I know I'm playing devil's advocate. I fought Stipe Miocic for a round and a half after he poked me in the eye, but I wasn't the heavyweight champ anymore. I knew that was the last time I would make that walk. So, of course, I kept fighting. Tom Aspinall's in a much different situation. I think he deserves a little bit of grace in this, Chael. I know you are a little bit of a different thought, but I think he deserves a little grace in this because of the position that he's in. I think athletes have to be a little smarter, even though it is upsetting to us.
And Daniel, if I could just have the final word on that, because I do hear myself talking, but I'm actually tripling over my own words. I'm on the side of Tom Aspinall. I believe that Tom handled it correctly. What I'm sharing for you is if there isn't a punishment, in this case, a disqualification or a point deduction, then how do we say that it's illegal? Look, let me explain life for Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane largely did not belong in that spot. John Jones could take that spot anytime he wanted. Alex Pierre could take that spot anytime he wanted. Daniel Cormier could come off the bench, have that spot anytime that he wants. And I'm not done there. Ciryl lost to Volkov. He won the decision, but he lost to Volkov. So Ciryl, that falls over backwards into this nice bag of candy, gets $1 million for his effort. Yes, that's what he got paid. Got to be a main event on the worldwide leader of ESPN, fighting for a world championship. Now, Ciryl cheated. Ciryl ruined that match because he cheated. So what does he get? He gets to do a rematch for $1 million on the worldwide leader of ESPN in a main event in the cage for the heavyweight championship of the world. This is what I'm trying to talk about. If there's not a punishment, then there wasn't a crime. But there's only two things that you can't do today. Back to the first time they set that octagon up in 1993 in Mobile, Alabama. Don't kick the guy when he's down. Don't poke this son of a bitch in his eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right, Chael. But for all those ways that Ciryl backpedaled into that title fight on that night, he looked like he could potentially be the best heavyweight in the world because he was fighting his tail off, right? But Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champ today, and he has built a team of guys that are kind of climbing the ranks. That's what you see, right? When you get a world champion, people start to train in their room. Now, at times, that world champion will tell guys in his weight class, we ain't doing this. Leon Edwards, remember when Ian Garrett tried to train with them? They ran him out of there. They weren't doing it because they knew at some point he could become an issue. Tom Aspinall has a teammate named Ante Delija. Ante fights this weekend at the Apex. His first fight in the UFC, he had a knockout, quick, looked real good. PFL champion back in the day. Guy has a lot of accolades. But he wins again this weekend, right? If he can beat Waldo Acosta Cortez, he's number 6 in the world. We may be looking at an opportunity for him to potentially be in line.
I'm sorry, Daniel, one more time. What was his name?
Ante.
It doesn't matter what his name is, jabroni. If he's fighting on TV and I haven't heard of him, it doesn't matter what his name is.
But, Chael, the bigger point is
there a bigger point than that?
If he wins, he could be in the top 5, but he's saying he will not fight Tom Aspinall.
Do you ever notice that almost every week we join here together, you tell me hello, and I say, Daniel, I really like your shirt. Where did you get that? Do you notice that I do a lot of that?
That's Anderson Ord.
Because did you notice today, I didn't say that, did I?
You didn't like it?
I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm just showing a commonality that we have, and then I'm
why did
you
compliment my jacket today? I think it's a nice one.
I know that you do. You put it on. I'm just sharing from my perspective where I usually tell you how nicely dressed you are. I noticed that didn't happen today, though, did it?
Why? Because I don't say it back. I mean,
you don't need to ask why.
Hey, look, you look at this too. Hey, I have like this blue shirt, and then look. I wear blue shoes. I wear blue shirts. And I wear blue.
You were going with it. All of a sudden, you were just like getting out of screen. But then I saw the shoe kick up.
Hey, you see, Chael? You wear the blue shirt. I wear the blue shoes. Chael, what do you make of that, though?
Hey, remember when Air came on here and she had that super fly photo that you thought maybe she got them on?
God.
I asked her husband about it over the weekend. I knew if he watched the show, I knew it was on his mind since it came out of one of our mouths. And he said, no, man, I'm keeping this girl forever. Turns out Air was like a scholarship athlete for basketball, and her husband's in the Hall of Fame for basketball. These are two studs that went and found each other. That dude ain't going to do any better than Air, I'll tell you right now.
I tell you one thing. I don't care what kind of basketball Air plays. She ever try to put a shot up on me, I'm putting that into the second row, man. I'm blocking that. I don't, get that out of my face, Air. Chill, I'm not playing it. A Hall of Famer, though, in basketball. Hey, imagine those kids. When they have imagine the kids, some athletes. We going to the NBA, anti-Air. Hey, we going to the anti-NBA. I'll be up in there with a T-shirt on with the kid's name. Uncle Daniel coming. But, yeah, what do you make of that, though? Teammates not fighting.
Is that the question? I'm talking about how Fly Air looked. I was talking about cheating somewhere along the way. I was insulting your wardrobe. What do you mean that's the question? Teammates not fighting. Question. I should be talking to you.
That's what Ante Delija won't fight Tom. But if he wins this weekend, he'll be in the top 5.
Ante Delija is not going to be fighting Tom because nobody knows who Ante Delija is. And by the way, I'm working a little piece of performance. I actually do know Ante Delija. Ante Delija is awesome and used to really get thrown. I'm just going to tell the story the way that Tom told it. Used to get thrown around by Tom, but now does a little of the throwing around. He's actually a pretty good fighter himself. Tom said I would never fight him, but then Tom made an interesting statement, and he said, if roles were reversed and Ante Delija had the belt, then I would fight him to take the belt. But because I have it and I've achieved that, I would never fight my friend. And it kind of came out just a little bit awkward because I don't think what Tom meant to say is I would hold an opportunity back from a friend. But accidentally, that is what he said. He accidentally said he will not be getting the opportunity because he is my buddy. I don't know that I have a thought on it. One time I've seen it work well, and it was recent. I think that what Aljo and Marab pulled off was actually a feel-good moment and showed us something about sportsmanship and teamwork, and it was really authentic, and they didn't let money get in the way of it. But I come to the school of wrestling, and sometimes you ride over to the venue with the very guy you got to compete with, and you ride back home. Sometimes it's even roommates. You're doing ranking matches or things like that. I would never take an opportunity from a friend, but I also would have a hard time saying I'm a friend if I had something that I knew he wanted and I didn't give him a chance to get it. That's just me, Daniel.
Yeah. So
it's a tough spot.
He's big, right? So Gane and I's situation was different, right? I was small enough to be able to get to 205. So I went there. Partly because I wasn't Delija, right? This guy's a PFL champion and he's done a lot of things in his career. My career started with Cain Velasquez, and it ended with Cain Velasquez. There was no me having a career prior to joining the team. I learned everything with him. So for me, it felt impossible to fight him. Granted, I had wrestled people, like you said, but fighting is different because you're trying to end somebody. I mean, for lack of a better word, like you go in there to kill him. And I didn't want to do that with my buddy. And from the first punch that I learned to throw, he was right there showing me, Chael. And that would have been much easier it would have been much easier for him not to do that than do it because I was a heavyweight and an Olympian. The same sport that him and I chose to do as amateurs, I was better at. And when I walked into the room, he still took me under his wing and helped me. He could have said, this guy's going to be an issue down the line. Why would I help him? But instead, he helped me. So that's why I didn't do it. But I don't know what these guys are going to do, especially if he wins.
In 1999, Matt Lindland had no money. He was an aspiring Olympian, and he found himself a sponsor, my dad. Now, what does that mean? That means my dad pays for Matt's airline ticket, and he lets him stay in our hotel room so we can go to the Sunkissed Kids. We do that. We're warming up. Matt comes up to me after reading the brackets that I didn't know had been posted and says, you sure got a tough one first round. I said, really? Who do I got? And he goes, it's an American. He said, you don't know yet, though, do you? I said, no. He goes, you got me. Now, this is the absolute pinnacle of fighting a teammate. I'm fighting a coach, but it's not only a coach, it's a coach that's only there because my dad paid for him to come. Matt was ahead by 9 points. Okay, one more point, and it is a technical fall. For baseball fans, the mercy rule gets invoked. We're in parterre. Daniel, he decides to pick me up, turn me around, and throw me all through. At that time, you got 1 for appreciation, 5 for the throw. He ends up beating me by 15 points when the most you could beat a guy by is 10. And why? Why pick me? Why not just turn me gently? Why pick me up and why plant me on my head? And he said, because I'm teaching you a lesson. And he said, there ain't no friends between 9 and 5. Between 9 and 5, it's business and one guy takes all. And I didn't want to do that to you. I was a young guy. I was 17 years old. He said, I didn't want to do that to you, but I'm glad I did it. So it kind of just depends where you come from. It kind of just depends what side of the tracks you were on. But I came from that school of thought. I would have fought a teammate, and I never would have been personal.
That would have been that's an awesome story because
And my dad standing there in the crowd like this.
and your dad probably appreciated that he did that for you because it did form you into who you are.
Yes.
It forms you, right? You learn those lessons you learn those lessons whenever you get your butt kicked by someone that you don't think. You would have imagined, probably had a 17-year-old kid, like Matt would have let you lose 9-0 and not tech you. But then when he put the hammer on you, like your neck's on the ground, step on it. He stepped on it. You're like, okay, I understand life now. This is life. Crazy, man. That's a great story. And Matt probably was stinking the whole time too. Smelled like
The whole time.
Pooped all on himself. Before he walked on the wrestling mat, he's stinking.
Daniel, he didn't smell good to believe. He believed that soap made you dirty. Like if you never use soap, then you'll never need soap. I don't know where that came from. Like if you never use toothpaste, you'll never need toothpaste. And if you never use deodorant, you'll never need deodorant. I don't know where this came from. This was the big three. But then he starts training with some of the Soviets and some of the Eastern Bloc countries, and he would talk about their hygiene. So he was just trying to match these guys. He was going overseas. He's coming back. He would shower in the singlet he worked out in, take it off, wring it out, put it in his locker, and then it would kind of like drip dry. Drip dry, excuse me, that's called mildew. The next day, this wet, dark, damp cloth is mildew, and he couldn't figure out why he couldn't find a workout partner. And all of these years, I never was the one to tell him. Matt Lennon was a pretty scary guy.
He was a scary guy, Chael. I wrestled a Russian in Colorado Springs. They were training at the OTC. They're washing their clothes. I beat the crap out of it. We wrestled in the Urigan. He had been home for a while, not showering. This dude beat me. I was like, yo, hey, Chael, we tied up. I said, dang, he stink real bad today. He about to beat me. He beat me with the smell. I was like, oh, I'm not beating this dude. His smell is really strong right now. But you're right. It's just the workout gear. These people train in their stuff, then just go hang it outside after rinsing it. Take a shower in the clothes, hang it up, and think that the clothes is clean. That's not clean. That's disgusting.
That's disgusting.
Disgusting. Chill.
Matt Lindland would do what was called the twirl. He would be telling you a story. Like if I was telling you a story, I'm going to act this out for you. Okay, the microphone is the shower. We're out here in the lobby, and I'm telling you about Tom Aspinall, how Tom got poked in the eye over the weekend. That's it. Like he'd be mid-sentence of a story. He would tell the story. He would do a full shower and be back and not miss a line. That it was called the twirl. Mark Cody at Nebraska would ask everybody here, did you shower? And he'd say, Lindland, did you do the twirl? He would be drawing. I'm telling you, it was just like that. It couldn't even break up a sentence. He was in there so fast.
Mark Cody's my guy. He coached me too at Oklahoma
Mark
State.
Cody's a tough son of a gun.
He was a tough son of a gun.
Real tough.
Real tough. Chill. This week in MMA history.
Did you think it was going to be cold today? Like what made you put the hood on? I mean, a hood is an interesting choice. If I wear a hood, it's because I'm getting ready to go rob somebody.
No, it's freezing.
Do you have something in your future today?
It's you know what the temperature is this morning? 49 degrees.
Hood weather, baby.
It's cold, baby. It's cold.
Forecast hood.
Chill. This week in MMA history, all right? Back in 1925, October, the first Gracie Academy opened in Copacabana, Brazil. 100 years of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Chill, what has the Gracie family meant to the sport? And also, this is a little different one. Somebody at ESPN wrote this because you and I will probably have the same statement about this. What's it meant to you? It hasn't really meant as much to me, if I'm being completely honest. But I know it's meant something to the sport. But go ahead.
Well, I love it. I love what they've done. I even love the family infighting, where some think it's Helio and some think it's Carlos. I love some of the infighting that you see between Hinzo and you see between Renner. I mean, things do seem to turn pretty quickly, but for the family to come over with such a simple marketing plan, they were going to put on something called the UFC, and all that was going to do. They weren't in the business of getting sponsors or getting on TV or even selling merchandise. All they were going to do is to explain to the world, if you're going to choose a martial art, make sure you choose one that actually works, and we can prove that this one works. It was a marketing plan. So from that perspective, for them to be able to put their money where their mouth is, I mean, UFC too, people when they read this, they see it wrong because they only showed 3 fights. And back then it was a VHS cassette. but it was actually a 16-man bracket for UFC 2. It's the only time they did a 16-man bracket, but Royce Gracie had to get up, walk outside 4 times. You get up and you walk outside in a no-rules fight 4 times in one evening. For the rest of your life, it will be Mr. Gracie from me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it means to me in the sport. Watching them as a family march to that octagon and go and get the job done. But that's it. Like, I mean, I don't have this like great fond attachment to Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. It's everywhere. I appreciate their business model, but I mean, there is so much jiu-jitsu, Chael. I don't know the difference between Gracie jiu-jitsu, American jiu-jitsu. They're calling it American jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. It's like there's just so much of it, but they can always be credited with being the first to the table that set the standard for what high-level grappling would be. And you're right. For the rest of my life, I'll respect Royce Gracie for doing what he did on that day.
Who did you look up to, Daniel? When you got into this sport, who did you look to and go, wow, that guy's good?
Fighting? Cain Velasquez. I was like, yo, this dude is crazy, man.
But you
I never saw nothing like that.
Before you even got in the sport, that's who you idolized?
Yeah, George St. Pierre. I thought George St. Pierre was amazing, bro. I was like, oh, this dude is good.
You ever work out with him?
Nope, never did.
He is amazing.
I was like, because I watched him, I think I watched him take down Josh Koscheck in that first fight where they went 3 rounds, and it was 1 round apiece, and Josh tried to Barzagar him, where he took the single, pulled him, ran it. Josh did it to everybody, even at the NCAA level. And George St. Pierre stuffed the head, floated his hips, and I was like, oh my God, he actually knows how to wrestle. I knew he knew how to wrestle, and I was like, this dude is good. George St. Pierre was the guy I was like, man, this dude is really, really good at this. He's figured it out. And that's why he's one of the greatest of all time. All right, Chael, hey, have a good weekend, my friend. I will see you on Monday. For the bad guy, Chael Sonnen, I'm Daniel Cormier. Peace.